What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So this was quite requested. Few people actually asked to see this, and I haven't revamped this topic in a while, but it's always worth doing because I have gotten several new additions to the collection that fit this topic and some that I just think are amazing and deserve to be in here when it comes to best smelling cheap fragrances that you can get for under $30. Because yes, even though the economy has changed worldwide, especially here in North America, in the United States specifically, and the price of fragrances across the board has continued to rise, there are still some awesome gems that smell great that you can get for the sub $30 price point. We're going to talk about them. Stay tuned. Starting with kind of a sleeper fragrance that doesn't really get any love. If you're okay with getting less than 100 ml, low 20s to mid 20s is what you'll spend on Azzaro Chrome Intense. I got this one recently, haven't spent a ton of time with it, but I'm very much impressed with this one. I like this more than Azzaro Chrome. It's grown on me real quick, real fast, very zesty, spicy, and aquatic. Not as shower gel-y as Azzaro Chrome even is. Not quite as metallic either. It definitely smells like a chrome flanker. It belongs in line, don't get me wrong, but I think this is superior in every way. Performance is about what, because I actually get really good performance out of original Azzaro Chrome as well. This one has jumped up, I believe, in the top 3 for me, maybe top 4, because I'm really digging the Eau de Parfum. That grew on me a lot as well. And then, of course, I love the Extreme and the Aqua flankers, but this is just kind of under the radar, you know? I don't know if it's ever really had its fair shake at getting some hype, but again, 6 to 8 hour range is what I've experienced so far. Again, very bright, citrusy, and watery, fresh and spicy, and zesty. I think zesty is a really good name for this. Clean musk. Like, there's really a decent amount of nuance to this fragrance for being a cheap chrome flanker. Definitely not one I would suggest overlooking. Maybe give this one a try. You're looking for something, you know, something fresh and new and out of the norm from the Chrome line that doesn't get any love. Try Chrome Intense. Now this one, I got to give credit where credit's due. Shout out to my buddy Joey Cannoli, because literally 2 or 3 days, like 3 days before I met up with him in Chicago and found this at a Ross Dress for Less at Rack Store, he was telling me how much he liked this and telling me about it. Bright, zesty, fresh citrus, creamy white florals, Calvin Klein CK All. Dark horse of a fragrance. Super underappreciated. $20, $20 to $30 range, depending on where you get it, Rack Store or online. Great fragrance. It's basically like a, I guess you could say, deeper CK1 Summer flanker, because this smells all of the zesty, bright, fresh citrus that you would expect from a CK1 Summer flanker. But the creamy white florals like jasmine and freesia, for example, it doesn't make it too feminine. I find it's perfectly unisex. CK All, it's literally for everyone. I'm sure that's the marketing behind the name CK All. I didn't look, don't really care, just care about how it smells, but it would make sense to me because it smells phenomenal. Performance is actually decent. 4 to 5 hour range is what I've been getting in longevity. I've worn it to the gym. I've worn it casually during the day. I've worn it out the shower because it just smells so good. And you can bathe in this stuff. You're not going to offend anyone, and it is one of the better cheap freshies I've put my nose on in quite some time, and it's really cheap, as you would expect from a CK1 flanker. Again, that's Calvin Klein CK All. This next one I did a full review on sometime last year. At the recording of this, we're in Q2, quarter 2 of 2023. This was maybe third quarter, around fall, maybe end of summer last year. I did a full review on Jaguar PaceAccelerate. This is a gem in the sub $30 category. Bright, spicy smoke, like this. It almost smells like a smoked pepper, even out in the air, let alone on skin. Very watery and fresh, woodsy. That is so good. I've gotten to where I don't know. This really runs a race with Encre Noir Sport for me. In some instances, I wear it more. For example, I like it more casually. Going somewhere, something to do, I think I would prefer the slight added elegance to Encre Noir Sport. They're not the same, though. The citrus with that is totally different. They're similar, but not quite the same. The reason I say that, because if you look online, you'll see that's what people are comparing this to the most. This is much, much much spicier. There's a lot of pepper in this one. If you don't like heavy pepper in a fragrance, you might not like this, but it's so bright and airy and watery at the same time. Performance is actually decent. 4 to 6 hour range is what I experience pretty much every time. I lightly spray this one when I wear it to the gym. I wear it casually during the day. I've worn it in the evenings once or twice. It's not something I really reach for in the evenings, but you want to talk about a great, masculine, but not too serious or too mature, manly fragrance. Great everyday wear. This is signature scent type of stuff here, guys. Super underrated, too. Definitely worth checking out. That's Jaguar PaceAccelerate. This next one, the note breakdown and the name are just as simplistic as it sounds. It is Cool Water, Grapefruit, and Sage. One of my favorite renditions of Cool Water. This was a limited edition flanker. You can find this one easily for under $30, usually mid-20s for a 4.2 ounce like this. Performs above average, bordering beast mode on my skin. Definitely in the 8-hour range of longevity. Pretty loud in the first 2 hours. This smells a little bit like Cool Water Intense. Some people say it's the watered down version of Cool Water Intense. I get where they're coming from. This is a creamy grapefruit smell, and the sage here comes across aromatic, fresh, and spicy, and as it dries, a little musky. But boy, this can do it all. This is super easy. Super easy. And what do I mean by that? I mean, pick a category. Easy wear. Easy to like. Every situation. It works. It shines better as a 3-season fragrance, in my opinion. Spring, summer, fall, but I think year-round, even in the colder weather, if you want something on the fresher side, this will work. It's got a little bit of density to it without being a heavy wear in any way, shape, or form. And it's a creamy grapefruit. Like, the sage really balances the acidity of the grapefruit oil that they used here. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I've raved about it since I got it. When I first got it, I wore it pretty heavily in the first 2 to 3 weeks. I was wearing it damn near every day for a good stretch at like 5 times a week, which is a whole lot for me. So that should tell you how much I enjoy this one. I got to get back on a kick with this one, and smelling it makes me want to wear it because it's that damn good. Getting this Davidoff Cool Water, Grapefruit, and Sage. When we go into this next one, I just realized I forgot to mention there's going to be links in the description for all of these if you're interested in checking them out. And this is one I highly encourage you checking out. In the $20 or less range, you'll see online people say Baccarat Rouge mixed with Aventus. I don't get the Aventus. The saffron here, I get a little bit of Baccarat Rouge. I can get that, but it's more ripe pineapple and woods with the saffron spice from Baccarat Rouge. It's Qaed Fursan from Lattafa. $15 to $20. One of the best smelling cheap fragrances I've ever had, ever smelled, ever put my nose on, ever added to the collection, ever worn. Above average, average to above average, 6-hour range typically in longevity for me. But this smells so good. This smells just so good. There's other notes going on in here besides the pineapple, the woods, and the saffron, but that's the main things I get from it, so that's the main things I like to point out when I discuss this one. I try to keep it as simple as I can when describing a fragrance. We can always get more technical if we need to, but hey, at the end of the day, does it smell good? Does it smell bad? And what's the main things I can expect? It's all that's really important in my opinion. And we pretty much covered everything that I deem important about this one, from the price point, the performance, and the way it smells. It's very tropical because it's so like juicy fruit heavy at the top. Great summer fragrance with a lot of oomph to it, I guess you could say, because it's a very dense woody backbone with a hefty dose of fresh, and it at some stages a little warming type of spice. The saffron, it has different characteristics at different stages and different settings on skin. It changes a little bit from wearing to wearing, but not drastically. But the one thing that doesn't change about it is it smells absolutely incredible. Does not smell like a $20 fragrance in any way, shape, or form. And in my opinion, is one of the best fragrances Lattafa's ever put out. And that's Qaed Fursan from Lattafa. Now, I just added this one to my collection. I just wore it for the first time, I think 2 nights ago at the recording of this. It smells like Invictus Aqua with a little something extra. Predominantly this light, soft leather note in the dry down. This was my favorite of the 3 Antonio Banderas fragrances I picked up recently. This is Antonio Banderas, King of Seduction Absolute. This is so good. $17 to $22 range is what you could expect to pay for this one. It has that juicy fruit, watery, aquatic, lightly powdery, clean, musky tone of Invictus Aqua with, like I said, that soft leathery note that kind of adds a little bit extra touch of depth from Invictus Aqua. Now, it doesn't perform like an Invictus Aqua. This one is on the cheaper side, and based on the little bit of time I've spent with it so far, it's like a 4-hour fragrance in longevity. 4 or 5 hours if you're lucky. You can definitely spray your clothes, maybe get a little bit more out of it, but this is one that's just addicting. You want to be around it. You want to be in the sea eyes. You want to sniff on it. This is just, it's very charismatic, I think would be a great way to put it. This is one I thoroughly enjoy. I like this much more than Blue Seduction. Jesus, tongue twister. That happened in the video too. I kept wanting to say Bleu de Chanel when I was trying to say Blue Seduction. Blue Seduction is great, don't get me wrong, but for me personally and my taste and the fact that I really like Invictus Aqua style fragrances and that DNA in general, this is one worth trying. You're going to roll the dice for very little money, and it's a fan-damn-tastic fragrance, and I'm super happy to have it in my collection. You should try it too. It's King of Seduction Absolute from Antonio Banderas. This next one, some of you know to be a great under-the-radar cheap gem that you can find for under $20. You can find it at the rack stores for around $15. Sub $20 price point from discounters online. Right around 20 bucks anyways. It's fresh, it's minty, it's aquatic, and my wife adores it. I wore it the other night. She was loving it, kept complimenting me with Penguin Premium Blend. This is good stuff. Arguably the best fragrance from Penguin. Definitely one of, if not the most popular. This stuff's super good. Minty green, fresh, watery aquatic without having any real saltiness to it. The citrus here doesn't dominate, but that mintiness is just so good in this fragrance. A lot of green facets to it and green notes, but just bright and fresh. Not quite zesty. I don't really get much spice or anything like that. Very clean musky too. I don't detect any woods on my skin. It's just that simple. Bright, minty, fresh green, and watery aquatic. As simple as it sounds is as simple as it is on skin, clean and musky as it dries. 3-4 hours, maybe 5, really in that 3 to 5 hour range, I guess would be the best way to put it, in longevity. And I can tell you firsthand, my wife is a big fan of the way this one smells. Sprayed out the shower the other night, and she kept telling me how good I smelled. A few hours later, I sprayed it again, and she's like, "Did you reapply?" She said, "Because you smell great again." I said, "I did reapply. Actually, I put another 5 sprays on." This is one you can bathe in. You're not going to offend anybody. If anything, you'll probably get a compliment from anybody that happens to smell you, which was the case over and over with my wife with this one. This is better than most people will give it credit for. That's Penguin Premium Blend. Every year a CK1 Summer Flanker comes out. Now, we did discuss CK All already, and typically I don't like to put 2 fragrances from the same house, let alone the same line, technically, because they're both CK1 flankers. But this smells so damn good, it was worth talking about. This is Summer Daze from the CK1 Summer Flanker line. This is the 2022 summer release. The reason it's so special to me is the way the kumquat note, this orange is fitting. This kumquat note is lightly sweet, fruity, but so fresh and mouth-watering. Invigorating. There's a little bit of a saltiness to this. It's very musky, bright, and beautiful. And you even get, well, at least I do, a little bit better than the previous years, where typically I only get 2 to 3 hours out of those. I've been getting about 3 to 4 hours out of this. Again, nothing super special, but it's an experience. It's meant to be a bright and fresh, crazy, airy, fresh fragrance. That's what these CK1 Summer Flankers are known for. That's why when I was talking about CK All, I was saying it's like a more dense take on something like this. Not the same scent profile, but of the same vein as far as their brightness to the citrus that they carry. This is worth having. I'm sorry. You got to take performance out of it. You got to understand that if you want more than 3 or 4 hours out of it, you're going to have to keep it with you and respray. Especially if you want to relive that first hour over and over, you're just going to spray it more than you would, say, something that lasts 8 or 9 hours, because it's an experience. On a super high heat, hot summer's day, there's nothing quite like a CK1 Summer Flanker, in my opinion. 2020 was my least favorite. I have 2014 that I haven't even opened yet. I have 2018, 19, 20, 21, and 22. And then I will get 2023 at some point when it comes around, because where we're recording this video now, it's not even summer yet. But definitely worth trying, guys. You can get it pretty cheap online, sub $30 price point, and it smells amazing. CK1 Summer Daze. Now this one, for a white tester box, you can get for around $20, $21. And this may surprise you that it's on the list. I like this so much better than what it's flankered from. Because my dad wore the original Eternity, but for me, this would be the one for me, Eternity Cologne. The Ambroxan. It's something about the Ambroxan, and I believe there's a little bit of geranium mintiness in here. It still has the herbal green feel and that bright aromatic, lightly soapy smell. From the original, it's just, I don't know, maybe it's because I smelled it to death on my dad. Maybe it smells dated to me. I don't know. I relate it to my dad. God rest, may he rest in peace. I like this so much better. Now, I do like the eau de parfum slightly more than this, but this has all that freshness that I would think makes for a better smell overall. Yes, that smells great to me, because I know online there's mixed reviews about it, but this is one that, it goes back to my philosophy. I don't trust everything I read online. I don't trust everything I hear someone else say. You gotta try it on your own skin to see how you're really gonna feel about it. And this one surprised me. This is even better than I anticipated it to be. I rolled the dice. It was like $20 and some change from Fragrance Buy for the white tester box with this bottle in it. And I'm thoroughly impressed. I had been wanting to check it out for a few years now. I believe it came out in like 2021, maybe. I've been wanting to check it out. I'm glad to have added it to the collection. And I'll tell you what, if you were ever a fan of the original Eternity in any way, shape, or form, and you want a fresher, slightly more modernized take, like if Eternity was to come out as a brand new fragrance today, what would it smell like? It would be this, because it's got Ambroxan in it. It's not overwhelming Ambroxan, but it makes it a modern blue fragrance. It makes Eternity a modern blue fragrance, basically, is what happened. That's why I like it. It's Eternity. If Eternity was a blue fragrance. Calvin Klein, Eternity Cologne. Then last but not least, how could I have this video without one of the best smelling $20 fragrances money can buy? If you like Eros, you don't need Eros if you have Guess 1981 Los Angeles. A little bit different, not the same note breakdown, not the exact same smell, but it's unmistakable. They were going for Versace Eros. You got some pepper that dries it out at the top, a little bit added warm amber here, because there's amber in Eros, but it's more intensified here. Color of the juice is pretty fitting. It's very woodsy as well. That's another major difference versus Eros, but it still has that minty apple aromatic type of feel that Eros is known for, even though that's not even in the notes. It still smells that way. They replicated the scent profile, I would say 70-75% accurate to Eros. If I was just a consumer watching content, once I got this, I wouldn't get Eros. As someone that reviews and makes fragrance content on the internet, that's probably the only reason I even have all of the other versions of Eros. I don't have the Eau de Toilette. I have the EDP, the Parfum, and Flame. But I'll tell you what, this kind of renders Eros useless. There's really no need to get it once you have this. For 20 bucks, it's hard to argue. Is it better than Eros? No, not quite. But for $20, Guess did a great job. It's my favorite Guess fragrance. Hands down, bar none. I've recommended it a ton of times on this channel for you guys because I stand firmly behind it. One of the best smelling fragrances you can get in sub $30 price point. Guess 1981, Los Angeles. Well, that's the 10 that I have for you today. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback. And I love hearing from you guys. What in this video have you tried? Are you familiar with any of these? What do you think about them if you have? Or, better yet, which one of these sparked your interest and you're like, you know what? Yep. That's the 1, 2, 3, however many. I need to try those out. Like I said, I'll have links down below to everything. And until next time, I will say if you get your hands on any of the 10 we featured here today and you give them a spray now, pretty confident you'll thank me later, because you'll definitely add something really good smelling to your collection and you're not going to spend a lot of money. Have a good one, guys.